Dude, I went to school in Indiana. That was the answer the South Korean soldier gave me when I was asking him where he learned to speak English. I wasn't surprised that he spoke English. I was surprised his English was so similar to my own. I proudly served in the United States Army, and like so many other soldiers, I deployed to Iraq. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to explain the history of the town I visited, the people I met there, and the tokens I brought home that made a significance on my life. The town I visited was Arbil, Iraq, in the northern area of the country known as Iraqi Kurdistan. Iraqi Kurdistan is in a de facto manner self-governed, similar to the deep south of America. They follow the laws, they play nice, but the central government usually doesn't get involved too much because the fighting breaks out and both sides lose lots of people. They're the oldest continually inhabited city in the world. Right now, there are over 1 million people, putting them in the top 5 for population count in the country. They're very westernized. They're very much like ourselves. Nightclubs, cars, they rely a lot on the same economic stimulus, a lot of the same drives and ideologies of Americans. They had very few but very violent attacks. Of the 2 attacks I know, there were nearly 100 people killed total. The town survived, they rebuilt, and they carried on like normal. Pretty prosperous town when I went through it. While we were in this town, we visited a base. While we were there, we met South Korean soldiers. The Republic of South Korea created the Zayton Division, mainly of engineers and medical units to send to Iraq. At their lowest, they only had 650 soldiers. At their highest, they had nearly 3,500, and they were all in Arbil. I just so happened to be the lucky soldier who traveled to that base during that time frame. They were only in country for about 4 years, so the window of opportunity for this event was pretty small. While we were in that base, we met several other soldiers. I had a conversation with that soldier from Indiana. He was honored to serve Korea. He was born Korean civilian. And part of their culture and part of their country says they need to serve. So he went back to Korea, enlisted in the army, carried on the family tradition, and signed up. I also met a South Korean soldier who was trained in Great Britain on how to speak English. If that doesn't drive your brain crazy, I don't know what will. You're looking at something, making a noise it shouldn't make. It was pretty interesting, but it was pretty amazing at the same time. I'd like to take another minute to explain the tokens that we traded. Part of the military is military coins. These are awarded as tokens of appreciation and good work. This one is issued by a 2-star general of the South Korean Army. He has his logo on the coin, plus it has the symbol for the Korean country on the back. It was pretty neat carrying a conversation with these guys through an interpreter. They're very much like ourselves, very interested, very curious about how we operate. During that time, I also met other soldiers. They have flags on their uniforms very similar to the United States. They have patches that are attached by Velcro. So when we were there, I was happy to trade my patch for the patch of a Korean soldier. Something to bring home, bring up the memories, and kind of explain to the family over time. I also ran into a gentleman who was in a jumpsuit. I figured this guy was either a badass or just a whacked out loony. But we were in Iraq, so I figured they wouldn't send the loonies over there. He was wearing a Zayton hat. At the time, I didn't know what it was. It could have been McDonald's for Korean, I don't know. Or, excuse me, Korean for McDonald's. All I knew was it was something interesting, and he didn't want a big trade. He wanted my hat, I wanted his. Sounded like a pretty good trade to me, so I went with it. When I came home and actually started researching for this project, I understood that the Zayton Division was assembled to go over to Iraq individually. Very few soldiers from Korea went over there, and very few American soldiers got to meet them. So this is pretty special to me, and I'll probably keep it forever, I hope. The events surrounding that night were pretty rare, but they were fun regardless. But it did bring to light the fact that whenever you meet someone from another country, break that barrier, have a conversation, learn what they know, teach them what you know, and just have fun with it. You never know who you're going to meet or what they're going to have.